The people that have participated in the video have been really honest, I think, with their views about how they're seeing this organisation be innovative and also where its challenges and opportunities lie. They come from all different parts of the business and they've had no particular agenda. They're just people that are really interested in seeing us be more innovative. So if you can, reflect upon their comments and what they're saying and see if it makes sense to you, and then participate in ongoing dialogue based on the conversation that these people have been generously prepared to start.
Innovation, yeah, I mean, I go to meetings and I hear people talking about innovation means blah, 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 and then I go to another meeting and it's this, that and whatever, and I get utterly confused with all these definitions. And if you look on Google, there's 10,000 definitions of what innovation is, and you look in a dictionary and there's all these definitions. I myself personally try to keep it simple and saying it's about being and able to look at a new idea and maybe develop a new idea or a new process or improve on a new process. That's how I see innovation.
I think we sometimes get so caught up in a detailed planning process and all these sorts of things that we miss sometimes what might be the most simple, clean idea, and that's often the most innovative and the most exciting and what cuts through everything else and really engages people.
It means very simply doing something differently, reviewing the way you go about doing things. It doesn't in fact have to involve a lot of money. It can be something very simple. It can be looking at a piece of work that you're doing and saying, hey, is this the best way to do it? Are there a lot of steps in here I could drop out and do this much more simply? That's innovation at a very basic level, but at a very productive level as well.
Innovation, by its nature, in a sense, is risk-taking. And for large organisations, and maybe a lot of small ones too, taking a risk is quite difficult, and in government in particular for the public service, because we have a real responsibility for public money and providing services to the public.
It's not something that has to be huge. It can be a very small thing. Innovation can be a very, very small change or a very small process, whatever it might be.
I think that people really understand that innovation is really important for VicRoads right now, particularly with reductions in budgets, reductions in staff numbers. If we're going to continue delivering services, we need to think of new ways to do things because our traditional ways are not going to work. So innovation right now is really important. I think people accept that. So
there's certainly expectations within the public and stakeholders and industry that we maintain a certain level, a certain standard. And we've got to do that now with reduced budgets and reduced resources, and so it will be quite tough at times. But I'm quite confident if we can be a little bit more open to innovation and really embracing it and embracing new ideas and new ways of doing things, I'm sure we can meet those challenges.
Barriers to innovation, and some of those can be funding. Yeah, it does cost money to do things differently and to find better answers. But another barrier can be the political cost, and it might be political in terms of your own personal career and your own personal professional profile. But then there's also the organisational political concerns. What is the public going to think if we do this or if we do that? Could it all come back on our face? Will I have to answer to the minister or the coroner or somebody else? Those can be pretty big barriers to innovation, pretty big disincentives to look differently at the way we do things.
Sometimes working in government, a place like VicRoads, can be a little bit frustrating. There is some some red tape and some hurdles to get through when innovation is taking place. But I think to some extent that's understandable. And I think having been around for some time, you understand that there are certain certain constraints about what you can do, and I think that's fair enough. I mean, we're using taxpayers' money, taxpayers' resources, so there are understandable constraints about how we go about things and how we, you know, we need to report back and be able to measure.
I arrived at the conclusion that I think probably, and I think this was partly informed by our cultural survey, which said basically people see each other as innovative and see the staff within the organisation as innovative, but not the organisation. And I think on the whole, we eventually become risk averse. We eventually pull ourselves back. We don't want to make mistakes, we don't want to fail. And then we are probably held back from innovating in ways that we might otherwise do so.
It can be a bit nerve-wracking to be innovative because you feel like there's a lot more scrutiny around how you spend funds and making sure that things that you do are really robust and that sort of thing.
I think that reflection piece is the piece we possibly need to add a bit more to, is learning, not necessarily from mistakes, but really actively looking for how could things have been done better, and perhaps what things did we take a higher risk on that next time we wouldn't need to.
I think the main issue with the learning side of things is perhaps sharing. Learnings might be well and truly heard within a region or an office or a business area, but sometimes whether that's disseminated across other areas is debatable.
There needs to be more education to people about exactly how we can be innovative, about the things about safe failure. Let's find a small way to test it, and if it's successful, we'll roll it out on a larger scale. If it's not successful, how can we pull it out quickly and low cost, those sorts of things.
In a commercial world, the pressure comes on you for resourcing when demand for your product drops. And so your income drops, and so then, you know, that's when you see people downsize and things like that. In a government space, it's often the opposite. It's when the demand for your services might in fact be going up, but things economically are hard, that you have to be much smarter to do more with less.
Walking around talking to staff saying, okay, what are you doing today? Okay, how long have you been doing that for? Okay, you know, is this annoying you the way you're doing it? Just put the question back on them, why are you doing this? And sometimes you might get the answer, oh, I've done this way for 20 years. That may be the only right way to do it, the only right way to do it. But you know, there's always that opportunity to question what you're doing, and don't be frightened to question it, and look for an alternative or maybe new way of doing it.
What we need to do is work smarter and more efficiently.
Supportive leadership and encouragement for people when they do try to do something differently, that they are given that encouragement.
And I think that there is really a culture that's over the last few months been gaining momentum of celebrating ideas and really encouraging people to think of new things, and let's give it a go. I really think there's momentum is building at the moment, and it's a really exciting time.
I really hope this video gives people an opportunity to really start to talk about the examples that they've had where we've been really innovative, so that for people who feel as if we're not, maybe it can make them think, well, yes, we can be. Yes, I can be innovative in my work.